Hi, I'm Tiffany. These videos had a lot of information packed full in them just by simply watching the counselor. In the listening cycle video, the counselor used a lot of nonverbal communication like nodding his head or shaking his head or maintaining eye contact, and this was a way of letting the client know that he was paying attention to what he was saying and that he understood what he was saying. He would also take the statements that the client said and reword them into questions as a way of allowing the client to know that he understood what he was talking about. In the invitational skills video, the counselor had a very warm and comforting disposition and used a soft tone to talk as a way of letting the client feel comfortable to open up to her. She would also pay attention to the mannerisms of the client. So if the client started to get frustrated, she would tell the client what she was noticing, and it seemed as if it almost made the client feel as though the counselor knew him on a more personal level and allowed him to feel more comfortable to open up to her. And the Reflecting Feelings video, the counselor searched for more feelings to suggest to the client. The client was always very responsive to that of, yes, that's exactly how I was feeling. The counselor also reflected the feeling and reflected the mood of the client by, if, for example, the client started to become amused at the situation, the counselor initiated a laugh and the client responded and laughed along with her, and that just showed that the counselor understood kind of the feelings and was also having the same feelings as the client. The counselor showed empathy by saying things such as, well, if I were you, I would feel like this because of this, this, and this. And the Reflecting Meaning video, it definitely took a longer time to figure out the core of the issue than it did to just simply figure out the feelings. I noticed that the counselor would she first figured out the feelings that the client was feeling, and then she tied in things like environmental factors such as family and culture and age, and she correlated that with the feelings and with the things that were triggering the feelings and tied it all together in order to really understand the meaning of what was going on there. In some ways, the counseling videos were what I expected. There was a lot of talk of emotions and feelings, and the client basically dominated the talk, and there was eye contact and nonverbal cues. In some ways, though, it wasn't what I expected. There were some awkward pauses, but this almost seemed to be a good thing because it allowed the client to fill those awkward pauses with more talk of how she was feeling. One thing that intrigued me the most was that the counselor seemed to invite the client in their thought process with them and seem to invite the client to walk along them when analyzing the information and when tying it all together. And by doing this ultimately creates a healthier person because the client can now know how to look at all the factors and how to analyze it and figure out the core of the issue and how to create a solution from that. It kind of reminds me of the saying of, give a man a fish, he can eat for a day. Teach the man to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. And that almost seems to apply to what these counseling videos did by showing the client, not just giving them a solution straight away, but by showing them how to really make a difference and how to make a solution in their own life.